Before we get started, at 500 subscribers, I'm giving away the prequel comic for the new Spider-Man 2 PS5 game. So if you want to win it, just hit that subscribe button, join our community. It's great, it's free, and when we hit 500, I'm giving it away. With that out of the way, let's talk about Secret Invasion Episode 4 because this did a lot. As per usual, I'm going to go through the episode real quick, give a basic recap, and then I'm going to give my thoughts about the things that happened because there are some things that happen in this episode that really just change a lot. Not to mention that this is only roughly a 30-minute episode if you don't count the credits and the opening sequence. So a lot happens in a little bit of time. So let's go through a recap. We start this episode by finding out, yes, of course, Gaia is still alive. Before she escaped Gravik, we find out that she has actually become a Super Skrull herself. I think it's really cool that she takes the memory of the scientist so she knows how the machine works and she gets all of the powers. So, of course, she comes back to life. And this makes me really happy, and I'm glad this is what they did with her character because, well, now she's fully kind of a good guy. At least we think she is. Now, after the opening credits, we jump back to 2012, the year of the Battle of New York, the first Avengers movie. Nick Fury is meeting with his wife and they have a really touching discussion about their relationship and what it means. After some really symbolic foreshadowing to the events that happened later on in this episode, we finally jump back to present day. Now, if we remember in the last episode, Nick Fury's wife is kind of being sneaky. We found out that she was talking to Agent Rhodes, who we believe is a Skrull. And why is she working with him? We don't know. We then see Vara actually go meet with Agent Rhodes. And yes, guys, he's a Skrull. They are working together and they want her to kill Nick Fury. Now, who is this identity of this Skrull? Who is this Skrull impersonating Agent Rhodes? I don't know if it's super important, but we do find out later on, at least visually, that this person is pretending to be Agent Rhodes. They are a Skrull. And I guess we could have seen this from 100 miles away. I mean, I'm pretty much sure everybody has theorized, myself included, that Agent Rhodes' War Machine was going to be a Skrull, and having him be the only Avenger in this show based on a storyline where all of the Avengers, at least some of them, become Skrulls, it was kind of a given. We then finally get a moment that I wanted to see, and we have Gaia meeting with Talos talking to each other. Talos is the reluctant, old school style leader who wants everybody to live in harmony, while Gaia realizes she can do the right thing, but she can't do it the way her father wants her to, because it's just not going to work. And this was a really touching moment between them, and I'm very happy that they included it. Talos wants his daughter to live in a peaceful world, but honestly, even though she is technically on the good side now, she walks away from Talos. We then jump back to Nick Fury's home where he is waiting for his wife to arrive, now understanding what's going on. Because when Vara was actually meeting with the so-called War Machine, he was actually listening in the whole time. He had her bugged. It was so sad to see his reaction finding out the one person he thought he could trust, he can't. And again, that's the whole theme of this show. Who can you trust? Who can't you trust? Who's being authentic? Who isn't? And now he knows the one person he loved, he can't even be beside. And when she gets home and Nick Fury is waiting for her, he already knows. He's essentially just playing with his food now. Her and Nick Fury reminisce about the past, and in particular, the scene that we saw at the very beginning of the episode. After a while, Nick Fury ends up confronting her head on, telling her, look, I know you're planning to kill me. I know you're working with Gravik. But the funny thing is, Vara tells Nick Fury about her past and how she became to be this person that he thought she was. Her whole goal was to get under Nick Fury's skin, to get into his life and let his guard down. And it worked, but Vara made a promise to the person that she is impersonating. She promised to love Nick Fury. She promised never to hurt Nick Fury. So she's very conflicted here. Is she going to follow through with Gravik's orders, or is she going to give in? And in a very poetic and dramatic sense, they both pull out their guns and shoot. We don't immediately find out who shot who, but we actually see Vara first, making you think that, wow, she just shot and killed Nick Fury. But they both purposefully missed. They both shot behind them in hopes that the other person would actually take them out. And since they both are alive, they realize that they do love each other, but they have to go their separate ways. And in a very cold sense, Vara asks Nick Fury if her relationship was real, if this love was something that they could rekindle, and Nick Fury says, I guess we'll never find out. It was very dramatic, very symbolic, symbolic and very thematic. I really like this scene a lot, and it might be one of my favorites from the show so far. But as we know, Vara was siding with Gravik, but at the same time, over the years had fallen in love with Nick Fury, therefore, she couldn't follow through with her plan. Even at the stage in his life where Nick Fury is completely powerless, he doesn't have control over anything, he finally gets a small win. But at what cost? He no longer has a wife, everybody around him, his best friends, everybody is just gone. We then cut to Agent Rhodes' apartment where we see him in the bathroom shapeshift into and from a Skrull. Now, I don't necessarily recognize this Skrull. They did have big blue eyes. I'm not sure if that is maybe Talos' wife. I don't think it is, but he's definitely a Skrull. And I'm wondering how they're gonna spin this. How long has Agent Rhodes been a Skrull? Because we have these scenes, Avengers Endgame, at Tony's funeral when Tony's dying. Are you meaning to tell me that War Machine has been a Skrull since then? Because that would sort of invalidate sort of the emotional impact of those scenes, let alone the scene in Falcon and the Winter Soldier where Rhodes is talking to Falcon. And if he was a Skrull during that time, that would really, really suck. Kevin Feige has actually come out to say that he was a Skrull at some point, so we hopefully will find out when. When the Skrull leaves the bathroom, they find that Nick Fury is sitting right at his table. Fury says he's there to make amends, to have a drink with an old friend. He felt bad about the way things were left, but really, he's planning something. Colonel Rhodes makes threats against Fury, something so unlike him, so uncharacteristic of him, letting us know that, yeah, this is not him. And Nick Fury already knows it, because remember, he was listening into that conversation earlier that confirmed what he believed. They share a bottle of a very, very old drink, and then they part ways. And again, Nick Fury is just playing cat and mouse with Rhodes, or the Skrull, at this time, and is really just trying to pick his skin, trying to get under him and really figure out what his end goal is. Now, the Skrull is very hesitant to drink this drink, but Nick Fury drinks it, so he drinks it. Or she, I don't know. After he leaves, we find out that Nick Fury actually used a liquid tracker that he ingested. This will allow Fury to track the Skrull and find out where they're going next. Gravik and the Skrull's whole objective here is to cause World War III between Russia and the United States, setting this off by the murder of the president. So fake War Machine and Gravik, they all plan to intercept the president and eliminate him. We get a really cool action sequence at this moment, and we finally get to see Gravik use his Super Skrull powers. He showcases the power that would normally be the power of Mr. Fantastic, but here they've adapted it and changed it to be the powers of Groot. So we were right, we got to see what powers the Skrulls would have from that previous episode on the computer screen. All hope seems lost, but Nick Fury and Talos save the day by showing up and taking some of these guys out. However, in the process of trying to rescue the president, Talos actually gets shot. And in my opinion, this may be one of the best VFX shots from this whole series. We see Talos forming in and out of his Skrull and human form, and it looked great. I have no complaints about this scene whatsoever, and I thought the scene with the CGI was fantastic and looked authentic. Talos ends up freeing the president from the flipped over car, but then something happens. Fury is rescuing the president, Talos is gravely injured, so a soldier comes up and picks him up and helps bring him to safety. But when Fury sees this soldier holding Talos, he stops. He realizes this soldier holding Talos is not in fact a soldier, it's Gravik. Gravik pulls out a knife, stabbing Talos and ultimately killing him. The look on Nick Fury's face, his last remaining relationship, his last link to society, is now gone. Someone who he would consider his best friend over the years has now just been taken from him like that. Again, the look on his face shows complete desperation, complete aloneness. And this serves as yet another loss for Nick Fury. However, having the Skrulls emit their powers and show them in front of people shows us that there may be something more going on than just a war between Russia and the United States. And I'm hoping that Talos doesn't just die for no reason. I'm hoping that the exposure to the Skrulls will create something that allows for change and for things to get better. Talos represents that old school way of thinking where we think everybody can live in peace, but that just doesn't work sometimes. And ultimately, he lost his life, and with his life, that belief died too, cementing Gaia as sort of taking his place and fighting Gravik, but for a different reason. And at this point, the episode ends. That's it. This was a very, very short episode, but again, a lot happened. I think this might be one of my favorite episodes, if not my favorite episode from this series so far, even though it was so short. It really feels sort of like a prequel to the finale. Now, we do have 2 episodes left, and I'm hoping that the 5th episode doesn't necessarily drag on. I hope we get some actual answers. I really want to know about the history of Agent Rhodes and why he is a Skrull. Why and how long has he been this way? Because I'm not really hoping for something that's a cliffhanger. I want to know answers. We have so many leads in Marvel right now that don't have finite ends, and I really want something to be answered. So I'm hoping the next episode we find out what happened to Colonel Rhodes, and I hope that we really get some ramping up even more for the finale with some explosive revelations. This show has definitely been a slower burn in comparison to other things that we've seen with Marvel Studios, but I'm really enjoying my time with it. It's different. It's definitely something we haven't seen before, and I'm hoping that they continue raising the bar later on in these last 2 episodes. Down below in the comments, I need you guys to comment. I need you guys to tell me what you thought about this episode and where you think it's going to go, because at this moment, all hope seems lost. Yes, we rescued the president, but how many people have died because of it? We've lost Maria Hill. We have no idea if War Machine is still alive, and now we've lost Talos, which really sucks because Talos is like my favorite character from this show, and I wish Ben Mendelsohn just got to do a little bit more because I feel like his send-off was a little fast. One place that this show has not disappointed in is its twists and turns. There has been something new happening that we didn't expect every single time, and again, I say this every time, I hope they continue it on through to the finale. Sometimes Marvel has a problem with their third acts, with their conclusions, so if they can continue this run and really satisfy their audience and give us a really surprising yet satisfying end, I think a lot of people will be happy. I do want to point out the length of the episode. After you cut out the intro recap, the intro credits, and the post credits, this is a very short episode. And if you want a really deep spy thriller style show, you've gotta give us some more time. This show is definitely doing things a lot different from the comic counterpart, where we see many different Avengers and superheroes become Skrulls and not being Skrulls. Now, this has definitely got to do with the fact that they don't want to pay these massive amounts of dollars to have these high caliber actors from the Marvel movies in these shows, because that budget would just be insane for a Disney Plus show, and especially with the fact that Disney Plus isn't doing as hot as a lot of people thought it would. I think it's important that they tell a story that is different, but so different enough that people actually like it for what it is, not thinking that it's just a copycat of a lesser quality. But who is Nick Fury going to rely on now that all of his left-hand men and women are gone? His wife, I mean, everybody close to him is gone. Maybe there's going to be a surprise cameo, maybe some new characters for the last 2 episodes, but I don't want it to feel cheap. Like I said, if this show can stick the landing, I think it will be near the top of my list of MCU Marvel shows. So again, guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Give me some theories. I want to know what you guys think is going to happen in these last 2 episodes, because we don't really have much to go on. And again, I'm giving this free prequel comics for Spider-Man 2 at 500 subs, so if you're new to this channel, just hit that button. It would mean so much to me, and I just am so grateful that we're growing a community on YouTube. Passing 450 subscribers is just unbelievable. So help us get to that 500. Anyways, I will see you all very soon.